Okay, as you can see, this is engine harness for LS. This is a 2004 Escalade harness. So when we got the donk running, which we got videos of the donk running, dumping gas, popping. We got other videos of the donk, the 75 vert with the 6.0 swap. Basically, this is the original harness of the truck that the ECU came out of. So we got the ECU standalone harness with the inside the 75 convertible. So basically, we're having a problem with the mass airflow sensor, which this is a common issue. You order these harnesses off eBay, Amazon, and they come and they might have two purple wires mixed up. They might have a sensor wire mixed up or whatever. It might not be pinned right. So this is my way of checking the mass airflow sensor, which the new harness and the swap is throwing a mass airflow sensor code, basically saying the mass airflow sensor is not working properly. So I went back to the original harness that the computer came out of, which is a Escalade. So I went and I got my jump box, ran power to the plug, and I went to the actual plug that plugs into the computer to see where did the actual plugs or the actual pins fall on the ECU plug-in. So they got diagrams. You can look up diagrams. You can download pinouts. But I wanted to go back to the original harness, the original truck that this computer came out of, and see exactly where the mass airflow sensors fail on the pinout, like the physical pinout, so I can make sure when I go to the donks harness, the aftermarket standalone harness, I can check and see where they're falling as far as where they're going into the ECU, what the ECU is reading, and I can match the swap harness with the factory harness that computer came out of. So this is just my way of how I did it. I just got my jump box, ran power to the plug, and then I checked the pins on the ECU plug. And all my mass airflow wires pinned out on the green side of the plug. This is a Gen 3 Escalade with the 6.0 all-wheel drive. And I just happen to have the harness that the computer came with. So I was able to go right back to the factory harness, see the factory locations, and just double check where they should be and where they actually are. And you know, the mass airflow sensor has 5 plugs. So you got the low voltage reference, you got the ignition voltage, you got the mass airflow sensor, and then you have the ground. So I just wanted to make sure on the factory harness where it came out of, that it was hidden where it should hit, and then I can take that information and go to my swap harness, and I can do the same thing on the swap harness, see where it's coming out at the ECU, and then I can match it with that. And if something is swapped around, I can also use the same method to try to figure out which sensor or which wire to swap with, and then I can put it in the right spot where it should be at. So this all comes with the swap. I mean, this is the first time I've had to do this with a standalone harness, but obviously this is a common issue. People get the standalone harnesses and they just throw them in and they plug it up and they crank the car up, and they don't think, you know, hey, maybe something's miswired or maybe something's in the wrong spot. And I just had a buddy with the same issue. He had to rewire his mass airflow sensor plug, because when they do the standalone harnesses, a lot of plugs share the same color wires. So you may look at the wire that's going into the ECU and say, okay, it's supposed to be a purple wire there. Okay, it's a purple wire there, but that purple wire might not actually be going to the actual sensor that it should be going to. So that's why you have to go through this whole process. If it's throwing a code, which mine is, it's throwing a code and it's not running right. So I had to go through this process and try to figure out exactly what's going on, what's miswired, what's not getting the correct voltage. And there's a bunch of videos out there, people doing the same thing with these standalone harnesses. Now, if you take one way around it is if you get a factory harness off a truck for your swap and you just convert it into a standalone harness, you can kind of bypass this process. But the standalone harnesses are so cheap now. It's just so much cheaper to just get one. And if you do have a problem, you can just go through the process I'm going through to fix it.